In 1875, only 10% of Africa was occupied by European countries, but by 1910, almost the entire continent was under European countries. The natural resources of Africa was a big reason there. Abundance of many natural resources like gold, diamond, iron, uranium and many more. But due to the imperialism of European countries, slowly Africa had started looting. By ruling the African continent for almost 5 decades, the European countries gave independence to African countries in the 1950s to 1960s. But by now the African countries had become poor and there was a decrease in resources. But African countries were sure that they would make Africa a prosperous continent again with their hard work and resources, but just the opposite happened. Many major countries of the African continent, they perform bad in terrorism index, poor index, freedom index and more. But what is the reason that the continent with great culture is facing many problems today? So this video has been made to know the reason. No one reason for the downfall of African countries. Many reasons like violence, terrorism, corruption, poor leadership, political instability, climate change are deeply hurt development of Africa. In meeting of the United Nations, the UNOWA's representative Mohammed Ibn Chambas said that deaths due to terror in Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger have increased 5 times in only 3 years. The casualties numbers has also increased. Radical terrorism and terrorist activities are divided into 5 regions in Africa. The first and the most affected by terrorism in Africa is the Western Sahel, includes countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Cameroon, Nigeria. The second region is Somalia. Somalia region includes countries like Kenya, Uganda, Somalia, Tanzania. In these countries terrorism are rapidly increasing. Congo is the major terror-prone region of Central and South Africa and many terrorist organizations are also active in South Africa. Egypt and Maghreb, both are areas where the situation is normal but the situation can worsen anytime. These areas include countries like Mauritania, Sudan, Egypt and Morocco. Terrorism is big reason for continuing violence happen in the Africa and loss of capital. That is why terrorism affected areas are struggling with hunger and poverty. Often due to the indiscipline of the leaders, lack of leadership and pressure of foreign interference, there are changes in the government of the country. And due to repeated changes, political instability remains in the country, which has the effect of economic insecurity in country, hindrance in development and foreign investment reduction. Civil war-like scene is seen. In 2019, Sudan government was overthrown by the army. In 2021, the army chief Abdullah Fattah al-Burhan became the president of the country. And Mohamed Hamdan Daglo, the head of the country's paramilitary force RSF, became the vice president. Abdul Fattah al-Burhan wanted to join RSP in military but Daglo was against it. Due to this there was a dispute between the country's military force and paramilitary force RSF. And it turned into a civil war, due to which Sudan's democratic political environment also deteriorated. Similarly, many countries in Africa where coups keep happening. Since 2020 there have been more than 12 coups in Africa, due to which there is political instability in African countries. And it's bad symptoms of any country. African countries are top the list of the world's most corrupt countries. According to the Corruption Perceptions Index, 180 countries based on their perceived level of corruption on a scale of 0, which is a highly corrupt number, to 100 very fair. Sub-Saharan Africa having the lowest average of 32. Corruption decrease people's development because they waste most of their income due to corruption. Educational, health or bills, corruption is rampant every field in Africa. According to the Global Corruption Barometer, Most people in Africa feel that corruption has increased in their country, which makes their life difficult. Corruption affects the development of the country in a very negative way. It damages the resources of the country, and the society has to face the consequences of corruption. Affected by corruption, the economic condition of the country declines, inequality increases in the society, improper use of resources, weakness in the institutions, death of democracy in the society. The development of any country depends on the infrastructure and modernity of education, health, etc., but due to the lack of attention by the government and some negative elements, the infrastructure of most of the countries gets destroyed. See this report.
Our main problem are these prefabs that were given to the community in 1986 by the old government. There have been promises after promises to build the school, but nothing has been done. The school has now grown into a high school and it is overcrowded. Learners come 3 times while others come 4 times. This is not right because learners are exposed to harsh weather conditions.
Average literacy rate of African countries is 65%, in which only South Africa is the only country where the literacy rate is better. Investing in a country where there is no facility of education, health, transportation is considered a risk, so companies in most of the countries there it does not invest. Due to which the youth there also remain unemployed. This is one of the major reasons why Africa is not developing rapidly. In this critical time, African countries should improve self-help, for which collective plans should be made, priority should be given to invest in development departments, encourage entrepreneurship, strengthen agriculture and industry, and improve the education sector, which will speed up the growth of the Africa and African countries. The purpose of created this video is present the information of currently discussed topics with simple language through facts and data. Do not forget to join us to continue such discussions. Goodbye.